Hey guys, welcome to our next episode. I'm super excited about this episode because Lorenzo is going to be talking about how he puts and he's going to teach us how to put in place tracking for micro conversions or micro interactions on the page. And you'll be amazed at the kind of insights that leads to. It's not a simple case of adding those micro interactions. They lead to some incredible insights, and we'll cover that in the show. And then I'm going to talk about the fact that, look, when someone comes to our product page, especially if they're coming through paid advertising, they're only coming for the one time. We have one shot and they're going to be there for just a few seconds. So how do we construct a sales page to kind of connect with that psychology and get them to buy? And we will actually talk about the exact process in this episode. Keep watching.
Hey guys, what's going on? In today's episode, we decided to pick a super successful direct-to-consumer brand, which I think you pronounce it Highkey. Is that how you pronounce it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. They're in the cookie industry. They sell sugar-free cookies and actually a lot of other products. But we decided to pick their bestsellers, which is the mini cookies chocolate chip. And today, I'm going to cover my part a little bit differently. I still have done customer reviews, which, if you're not the first time that you're watching our show, you probably know that I do that. So you'll find that in the notes, my documents for reviews mining. But I really didn't want to focus on that today. I wanted to focus on the number one skills that CRO people should develop, which is the art of asking questions. And what I mean by that is I put here in this document, I put basically like I dissected the entire product page for their bestseller into different sections, because I want to basically start asking a bunch of questions about this specific page. And there's a lot of, obviously, asking that question is very important to understand the behavior of the people. But the other important thing around asking question is that you first need to set up, a bunch of tracking around those questions. And the benefit of tracking is also that when you start tracking a bunch of like micro KPIs, micro actions that people are starting to do on a website, and you start running experiments around that, now those KPIs, those small micro conversions will tell you a better story when you start comparing control with variation once you have concluded an experiment. So again, not just valuable for understanding the behavior of the people on the page, but also to get more insights after an experiment is completed.
Yeah, and notice I should just mention one quick point here, which is that this is something that is actually really important. What we discover is that 90% of the time, the user does not behave as expected. So if if you're just putting something out there, expecting them to discover it, they might not. So this tracking really helps you understand how far off you are.
Yeah, it's almost like if they think they'll go down the rabbit hole to find it, they won't. So good luck with that. All right, so let's go through all the different things that I would be tracking on this page, and then a few questions that I would be wondering if tomorrow the client, this company decided to hire us. So let's talk about the first hello bar, which is, this one, the darker blue on the top. I wonder like how many people here are actually, they land here, they're on this page and they go here, because now all of a sudden, they showed a sort of interest on this product by visiting this page. And then, here they're pushing them towards a completely new product. So I would be interested to understand how many people are going there. The second element I highlighted here is the second hello bar, which is this, lighter blue bar, which I thought they're doing a good job in terms of like, kind of like, showcasing a bunch of numbers and say, 2 million pounds of sugar eliminated, which is a strong statement. You want to argue that these, lighter blue kind of blends with the darker blue on the top. But the question I have around this is like, how many people are actually clicking on this element, and how many people that click on the element go throughout the page? And let me show you quickly what happens when clicking through it. There's actually a lot of selling on this page. And this is why I really want to understand the behavior of the people that go here. So there's a lot of kind of like copies / visual that sells the customer around like the importance of products with the lack of sugar. And there's also like a very nice here, like numbers. What does 10 million pounds of sugar look like? So now all of a sudden, people have a visual representation of the amount of sugar that, and then they have this image, which they also have it in the product page, but in the hidden section, which I think is doing a pretty good job at selling the whole concept of, the bad impact of sugar on your body. So I would want to understand.
And by the way, I should add, Lorenzo, here, I studied this page as well. And this goes back to the point you're talking about tracking. I noticed that 2 million pounds of sugar message. I actually really liked it, but I never bothered to click on it. So even though I was not paid, but I was focused on studying this page. So I'm a motivated buyer, still missed it.
Not just a motivated buyer, but a rock star detail-oriented person, right? Because obviously, like if you're in CRO, you need to like, and you missed it. So I wonder if also the users have missed it. Then the other section of this site, of this page that I want to talk about is the product images. When the user lands here, product images, occupy, I would say, more than 50% of the real estate. So there's a lot of, lot of section right there. So the first thing I want to do, which is not something that they're doing at the moment, is I would want to track using Google Analytics events, the clicks on these arrows that people do. And I would also want to kind of like start asking a question and get answers. And the questions I would be asking are, how many people that visit this product page, and it obviously doesn't have to be just this product page. I would actually do it for the entire product pages of the entire site. But how many people that visit this product page actually interact with product images? So let's say out of 100, how many do that? How many images do they interact with? So sure, they could be interacting with one images, but they have actually a lot of images here. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they have a lot of images. So the question I have here is like, how many images do they interact with? And how does the conversion rate change based on the number of images that have been seen, right? So what's the conversion rate of people that have seen 1 image, 2 image, and until 10 images, right? Because I want to see how the images, and actually each images is having an impact in the decision-making process.
I want to just add over here how profoundly powerful this is. Lorenzo, if you just scroll through some of the images, I want to show you one image. Just scroll to the next image. Next image. Oh, wait, one more. Yeah, one more. No, more. I'll tell you which one it is. Oh, actually, it's back. Go back. Two. Sorry. I'm wasting time. Okay, one more. There we go. This one. So this actually really confused me. It took me 5 minutes to actually understand this image. I couldn't understand what they were. I didn't understand if that they have a product that's different than this product. I just couldn't figure it out. And then I had to do some mental calculations to figure out 10 ounces, 180 per ounce, 2.25 ounces, $2.07 per ounce.
Yeah.
And the point I'm trying to make over here is a very simple one, which is that with Lorenzo's tracking in place, if we notice a drop off in conversion rates, we can assume, we can know that we can triangulate that to say there was some friction over here and you can solve it. Otherwise, you would never know.
Yeah, it's like that image is not doing a good job at motivating the person to go to the next image.
Exactly.
The other point I have around product images here is that, if these guys had Hotjar or any other heat maps or click maps tool set up, which I don't know if they do, but the question I would have around product images in general all the time, right, is are people clicking actually on the image to try to zoom in? Especially there are some images, Rishi, like this one, right? Where they show the nutritional information. I would want to, I would imagine, this is me speculating, right? We're here speculating. Every single episode we have, we're speculating, right? So I would want, I wouldn't say that it's rare that somebody would want to zoom into the nutritional fact. So I wouldn't be surprised if somebody would want to click and zoom in into that.
And another way to think about this, Lorenzo, is that let's say that sometimes people will make the argument where they'll say that only a small majority of people would do that. Here's what I would say. Think about the psychology of the person that is actually trying to zoom in. I would say they're highly motivated.
Yep. 100%. And the other point I had is, okay, they don't have the zoom in functionality, which is fine, but they have the pinch to zoom functionality. There's one issue with that. There's no indication on each image that the user can pinch to zoom. So now, it's like, okay, you're not helping the user with that information. So I would probably add that pinch to zoom information to show people that they can pinch to zoom in order to see more information. I want to walk, you guys through like a bunch of other things that I would want to track. The next one is going to be about reviews. So again, same concept here, but different questions. I would want to set up Google Analytics events for clicks on these reviews. And in fact, if I actually click on the review and I get scrolled all the way down, but the point I have is like, how many people actually click on it, right? We all know how important reviews are for people in order to make a decision around a product. And then the other point I have here, the other question I have around reviews is, well, how do metrics like add to cart or conversion rate change versus those that don't click on the reviews, right? Can you compare these two metrics between the people that have clicked on the reviews versus those that have not? I'm going to say last thing, and then because there's a lot of things here in this document which you guys are going to be able to download in the show notes here, but I'm not going to cover all of them. The next one I want to talk about is the two drop downs that they have here. So the first one is about the flavor, and the other one is about the packs. Which what happens here is like there's an interesting UX choice that they've made here, which is a drop down. The problem with using a drop down for 2 or 3 choices, like in this section, right? Like you have the taste, which is the flavor, which is like 3 choices that the user can make, and number of packs, which is like 2 choices, is that they're hiding that information under a drop down, right? They're hiding the flavors under a drop down, and they're hiding the fact that you can buy a 2-pack in the drop down. So now my question here is, how many people visit the PDP and interact with the drop down? And how many people that interact with the drop down add the product to the cart? Because especially here, right? If I don't interact with the drop down, I don't know that I can save 5% if I buy the 2 packs, right? So again,
really good stuff, Lorenzo.
Thank you. I'm gonna say last thing, and then one last thing around this. But what about the learn more? So they have this sectional around learn more, which basically, if you click on it, there's this modal that comes in and explains you a little bit, like very small copy, like a couple of lines, around the subscription. So again, let's start tracking that click on learn more. And the questions that I would be asking here are, how many people visit the PDP and interact with the learn more? How many people that interact with the learn more add a subscription product to the cart? Not any product, but a subscription product to the cart, because that learn more goal is to sell the customer on picking the subscription option. So I want to understand how of a good job or a bad job I'm doing at using that model.
Yeah, can you click on learn more real quick? I have one quick insight. What? Yep. So is this all there is?
Yeah.
So, we could even have like a feedback beacon right up below the image where we could say, did this help? Yes, no. And if people are saying no, your copy sucks.
Rishi, I think I told you in the last episode, you don't consider yourself a research focused person, but you are. Let me tell you, let me reveal you a crazy secret. You are a research focused person. That's it. That's all I have to say. Anyways, I have a bunch of other stuff you guys can check out if you download this document. But last thing I want to say around this. So there's a lot of things here that you can be tracking. One thing that I want people to let people know is that Google Analytics gives you the limit of 10 million hits that you can use in order to start using events to track a bunch of things. So I'm not suggesting you guys to go ahead and track everything I put into this document. So that what I would do if I were you, I would actually start prioritizing, what to track. And here's 2 steps on how to do it. First step is to set up heat maps in Hotjar, for example, to simply understand how much people are actually scrolling down on this page, on mobile specifically. And once you have set up the heat map and you start actually analyzing the heat map, I would want to see where the biggest drop off in the scroll map is. And then what you can do is start tracking the elements that are all above where the biggest drop off point is. So again, you just start prioritizing tracking the things that more people will see. That's all I got for my part today.
That's really, really good. Really, really good stuff. I think this is, 80% of what you're saying is stuff that I don't pay attention to. So I think the part of what we're trying to do here is we're just trying to remind us over and over again about these core principles of things that we all forget about. Highkey is a super competent company. They're really good at what they do. Yet every company in the world forgets these basic things. So purpose of our show is to kind of just draw attention to those basic things. This is very useful, Lorenzo. I really enjoyed it.
And I'm excited about seeing your ideas.
Well, let's get started. Okay. So what I'm going to talk about is that one of the things that we are, Lorenzo talked about this idea of prioritizing. And I want to, this is really core to my whole CRO philosophy, is that we have to prioritize. There are too many choices. The consumer is not even paying 13% attention on our page. So how do we prioritize? And one of the mistakes that marketers make is that we try to say too much to too many people and make too many arguments to convince them. I like to focus on core selling angles. Not everything about our sales page is equally important. And so what I did was I went through the page and I decided, and I could be totally wrong. By the way, the whole point of testing is that it's okay to be wrong. But I decided that this actually it's the 5th image, I apologize. The 5th image to me was really powerful for a number of reasons. It's visual. So we know that 50% of our pre-cortex is devoted to image processing. I also liked how this is showing a visual contrast between us and competitors. It looks scientific. So all of those things make me like feel like, oh, this is not just a marketer talking. This is actually it feels like a study was done. Now, I don't know if a study was done or not, but at least it feels that way. And that's enough for the consumer. So I thought this was a very important selling angle. So now the question is that this is the fifth image in that carousel, and there I have two thoughts about it. The first one is that the fact that it's a fifth image means that very few people actually get to it. This is what Lorenzo's tracking would reveal to us eventually. But my bigger point is that I feel there's also missed opportunities even with the selling angle. I think we can further amplify this selling angle, and I'll show you what my idea is. So my idea is to create an audio clip and place it above this. And when you click on this icon, and there's copy over here to explain what this is. When you click on this icon, it actually just through an audio file describes in like a podcast, like in 2 minutes, what this graph is about, what they were looking for, what the revelation was. And what it does is it makes it, the reason why these things is audio and video so important is because it converts the experience for the consumer from being a self-guided experience to being an experience with another human being. And even if that is a recorded message, there is something very deeply primal in us that connects with that. And the reason why I focused on the audio file was because I know this is something that the brand should be able to very quickly put together. Video, there's a lot of people involved. The CEO has to get involved, has to be right lighting, right setup. But with audio, you can just record, make a script, record, and you've got it up and running. It is a great MVP to prove or disprove if that hypothesis of an audio explanation increases the likelihood of conversions works or not. And so, Lorenzo, by the way, if we were to include this, then in your tracking for clicks, I would include this in your list.
100,000%.
Now, the thing to keep in mind, again, this goes back to what Lorenzo was talking about, is that, if we are saying that this image is our core selling angle, this is what I'm saying, by the way, and I could be wrong, then the question we have to really ask ourselves is, what is the discovery rate of this element? Because if nobody's seeing it, it doesn't exist. And so the way to look at that is to really ask yourself, and again, we would have to rely on Lorenzo's tracking. By the way, we don't work on these things independent. We don't work on this collaboratively. It just so happens that every time he has an idea, I have an idea that's related to his idea. But the idea here is that if 1,000 people start clicking the image carousel and only 87 people reach the fifth image, then I know that I need to help more people discover it. Now I have a new data point. On the other hand, if 300 people get to this image, but only 12 people play the audio file, then I know that the call to action visibility of the audio file was not high enough, and I can fix it. Once the optimizer knows specifically what the problem is, finding the solution is not difficult. It's oftentimes we don't even know where the problem is. And then the third one is that if 40 people are playing the audio file, and only 0 are converting, then I know that my message is not strong enough. So I would go back and I would write a new script and I would explain it differently and see what effect it has. So, all right. So the thing is now, the challenge is that if people don't get to this fifth screen, then how do we know that they are actually discovering this content? So my idea is that, and I'll make this a little small. My idea is that over here, I would add a hyperlink, and that would simply say, want to see a really interesting graph? And we're showing this copy conditionally. That means that if someone comes to this page, sorry, Lorenzo, you were saying something?
Can you explain in 30 seconds why you picked that copy? That question.
I think I know Lorenzo's answer. I want to tease the buyer to want to learn something more about something. So maybe that's why.
And why that question?
I don't know.
Because you're a teaser.
Yeah.
Now, so the best way to explain it is that question is like it's almost like a surprise. Of course, I really want to know something very interesting about it.
That's
like,
true. That's true.
No, he's messing with the user right there.
Not messing.
No, I'm not messing. But more like.
No, you're right. I'm trying. Look. Here's the mental model that I think we should all be aware of. Is that 80% of users are in a zombie state of mind. They're not even fully activated. So my job, I cannot make a sales pitch if I do not activate the interest of my buyer. So I have to use every hook or trick I know from buyer psychology to get their attention. I'm not manipulating them. I'm just making them aware of it. Then if they don't buy, they don't buy.
I'm not saying you're manipulating them. I think old school direct response marketers would call this a pattern interrupt.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's it. And the point I want to make over here is that we're showing this copy conditionally. What that means is that if you came to the product page and you scrolled up to the fourth image and you did not scroll to this image, that is when you would see this conditional copy over here. So we are maximizing visibility while minimizing repetition. And this is a superpower of marketing, is that you can actually do that. Okay. I think that's it. That's my first idea. I want to talk a little bit about how much time it takes to actually do these things. I think writing the script would take 2 hours of time. It'll take 1 hour to record it. And then in order to add the tracking, it would take another hour of time. So approximately 4 hours to do this. I want to now jump to my next idea. And my next concept is all about, I'm a one-trick pony. I play the same game every time. And one of the things that is always important to me, and I think it's a huge missed opportunity for brands, is we don't spend enough time proving that we are the best in the world at what we do. And I think that's something that we really need to focus on. So the copy is very good. I think that they use friendly language like "sorry, mom," which is very relatable copy. They describe the flavor. So they say melt in your mouth goodness. So I think the copy is great. They've got a great marketing team. But if I was hired, I mean, part of the reason why they would hire Lorenzo and I is because they want new ideas. So we have to come with new ideas. And so if I was exploring a new idea, I would kind of think about this question, which is that we are living in a world of infinite choices. So what I did was I Googled healthy chocolate chip cookies, which is the perfect search term for this brand. And look what Google is showing me. So when I search for this term, Google is showing me 5 pages of different competitors. And then over here, it's showing me, another 30, 40 different options. The consumer, let's be realistic and understand that our customer understands that these alternatives exist. And so therefore, it puts a lot of pressure on me as a copywriter to convince them that we've learned something new that these other brands have not figured out. And that's why I'm really a big fan of demonstrating expertise. And so the question is, what are the aspects of expertise that we would focus on for this brand? So I'm going to tell you about the things that I decided to focus on. So the first one is I want to always start off the sales pitch by having like some kind of a dramatic effect. And so the way I started off is by saying, we started this project thinking we've been making low carb snacks for the last 4 years. We have 26,000 customer reviews. How hard could chocolate chip be? And then I say, turns out really friggin' hard. And what this does is it basically sets up a dramatic opening for the buyer where they're like, oh, it's hard. Oh, let me explore this further. So, I think a good copywriter would make this even stronger, but this is the opening that I decided to go with. Another thing that I would talk about is I would talk about the proportions that we tried and failed in taste tests, because ultimately, even though this is a zero sugar item, the consumer cares about flavor. And so we cannot just simply say we found the right flavor, here it is. If I were to say that we tested 57 flavors and all of them failed, all the taste tests failed, and then I finally got to this winning combination, there is a principle of psychology called the illusion of labor, which actually makes me appreciate it more. And so I would actually talk about that, because I'm pretty positive that they've done lots of taste tests. I can't believe that they figured it out in the first attempt. So I would talk about that. Then I would talk about the fact that we tested everything that was available in local grocery stores. We even drove 2 hours away for a specialty grocery store. We even went to specialty online stores. And I would praise all of my competitors. I would say these companies are doing an amazing job. And I would just leave it at that. This is a very important psychological trick. When you start bad-mouthing your competitors, the consumer realizes you're just a marketer trying to push a product. But when you say that my competitors are really good and I think they're making an amazing effort, and you just stop right there, it's implied that your product is also equally good, if not better. And that makes it very powerful. The next thing I would talk about is the science of metabolism, because I'm trying to demonstrate expertise. People are not buying this for just the flavor. They're buying it because it actually helps whatever, I don't know what it does, but you understand the point. Then I would talk about some interesting facts about sugar. And one of the facts that I came across is very interesting, which is that in nature, sugar is very rarely available. So our bodies have evolved that when we encounter sugar to consume all of it and to lock that in, because we don't know when we'll encounter it next. Unfortunately, because we do encounter sugar a lot, that sugar is converted into fat. And so I'm going to basically make an argument here for the buyer that says that this was a very important adaptation technique that we used 100,000 years ago, and it's no longer applicable. And then the final thing that I could talk about is I could talk about the sugar lobby and how the sugar lobby, especially in the US over the last 50, 60 years, has had a lot of power over policy, which has affected how much sugar we have in our food, which has affected obesity rates and things like that. So those are the things that I would focus on to demonstrate expertise. Let me just tell you the final thing, which is that you must be wondering, Rishi, you're talking about all of this copy. I'm looking at this page. There's only this much room that's available to us. So how can we fit all this? And you are absolutely correct. So one of our challenges is that for skimmers who are looking for very short content, they will be very turned off by 5 paragraphs worth of content. So what I've done is I'm going to now conditionally show this copy only for people that are interested in this copy, the diggers. And the way I would do that, I've actually put together a very simple mockup. So what I've done here is that I'm showing it at 3 strategic locations. So first is we know that people pay attention to the image. So it says, you need to see this. And if you click on it, we show our sales pitch. If they ignore that, then I will remind them about it again, conditionally over here. If they ignore that, then I will remind them one last time conditionally over here. But if they click on the first one, then those remaining 2 instances will be made invisible. So that is the end of my presentation.
Well, guys, I want to point out one last thing before we end the episode today. What Rishi has just done is absolutely super powerful. The fact that he's gone through each bullet point of the copy, explaining why he chose that copy and what he's doing there is extremely powerful. It's almost like one-to-one coaching around copywriting for a product page. So here's a question to you guys. I think we should definitely have an episode where it's all dedicated to Rishi coming up with some copy for a brand, whatever. And then one by one, he explains why he picked that content, that copy, even almost like word by word. And so if you think this is a good idea and you would like to have an episode around that, just put comments in below, and we'll definitely record an episode on that.
Awesome. This is great. I'm happy to do it. Awesome. We will see you guys with yet another DTC brand, with yet another set of ideas. We hope you had value from this. Please write comments. Lorenzo and I live for those comments. We want to hear what you have to say about
our sugar.
Ideas.
It's our sugar.
It's our sugar. Yes. So see you guys again soon. Take care. Ciao.